Daisy Thomas is with us.
Daisy, good morning.
Good morning, family. How are we all?
How was your weekend?
My weekend was footy, really.
Footy.
Yeah, so...
Do you still enjoy watching the footy?
I do. I went along Thursday night. I was there calling for Triple M.
Yes.
And I got the train in. I went sort of old school, mainly because they didn't give me a pass because I'm not a big dog. But,
Yeah.
That's a separate story. You can create your own narrative. So I went in on the train.
Yeah. How do you go on the train? Is it Daisy?
There's a little bit of that. Yeah, I sort of had the mask on and a hat on. So, there's probably only that for the whole way.
Wears you down, though, doesn't it?
It does at some point.
It's like, shut up, mate.
I tell you what was nice. Walking in, it was a beautiful night Thursday night. people outside the MCG having a kick. It was just what we come to love. And I think after the year we had last year, I didn't lose appreciation for it, but I had a greater appreciation, I reckon, this time round. So I didn't get emotional, but it was just nice. And that's the first time I reckon I've missed footy since playing.
Isn't that wonderful? I lost my way with the footy last year. I'm not too proud to admit that.
Yeah, well, as a Kangas man, you probably lose your way again this year. So
Jesus, holy dooly.
Yes.
13,000 at Marvel to watch the Kangas play Port.
Yeah, that was good. They didn't have
lose by nearly 10 goals.
Yes, Jaden Stevenson, of course, the big story out of that one. He played for his new club after coming across from the Pies. So as part of that Ned Guy fire sale, looks like a handy pickup.
Yeah, another well-handled exit from Collingwood.
Yeah, well, they had a good weekend, didn't they? They got rid of Tom Phillips and he came out and his side had a famous comeback against Essendon after being 8 goals down.
Yes.
And then, of course, Adam Treloar on Friday night it was.
And they booed him when he got his first touch.
They booed. That was the weirdest thing I think I've seen in football. He came out, one of the players hugged him.
Yeah.
The fans
straight
booed
off
him,
the bat.
and then in about the third quarter, they were applauding him when he was getting touches. So
I don't think they knew what to do.
Well, no.
Because he wanted to stay.
Yeah, and that's sort of where it becomes interesting, isn't it? As a person, you're like, you mongrel, you left. It's like, but did you?
Did you?
Yeah.
No. And then all of the stuff around it. Oh, the senior playing group don't want you here. I beg your pardon?
There was some interesting narrative, wasn't there?
Your wife's going to play netball in Queensland. You won't be able to cope with that. Well, excuse me.
As a bloke who's found himself in a bit of trouble from time to time, it's sort of one of those things where you just try and pluck the most convenient story. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I wasn't out late. Yep.
But it was a salary cap issue, really.
Well,
at
it was.
Core. Why didn't they just say that?
They thought they were paying him too much.
Yeah.
And as a knock-on effect of that, they just moved him on and they didn't own it.
What about Patrick Dangerfield?
Oh, that's the big one.
What are you thinking, Daisy?
Well, the biggest news out of that game, of course, is that incident. But what about them being 43 points down to Adelaide?
Yeah.
A lot of people tipped Adelaide not to win a game this year.
Yeah.
One of them being in this seat.
Yeah. Well, they've only won one.
Well, they have, but there's still one more than I thought. But yeah, of course, the Dangerfield incident, he got it downgraded or was graded as careless by Michael Christian, the match review officer, which is interesting because I would have thought if you elect to bump, which he did, he didn't mean to get him in the head, so I don't know what that takes into it, but I would have thought that would have made it intentional, which I think makes it worse in the grading system, but straight to the tribunal for Paddy. And I think it'll be a 3-week minimum.
Future of the bump is always it's a great chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can tackle, you have to tackle. If you bump, you're going to get rubbed out.
There's just no reward for bumping anymore. Like,
No.
And in the olden days, like that would have been, and the olden days being 5 or 6 years ago, because the contact from the body was shoulder to shoulder. It was the head-on head that was the incident and what caused the damage. 5 years ago, that was play on. We think of Justin Kaczynski getting absolutely mixed out there on the wing. I think it was by Daniel Jean Syracuser at the MCG.
Yeah.
How's my footy knowledge, by the way?
Impressive.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm not sure if that's even 100% factual, but it sort of came to me.
It doesn't matter if it is.
No one's going to fact check me.
That's the beauty of it.
I love
Just
that.
make it up. Oh, it reminds me of that one years ago with Glenn Archer.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, of course Arch would have been involved in a bump.
So, around that. But, of course, we know at the minute the concussion issue is so topical.
Yeah.
The AFL is doing everything they can to stamp it out because of the past players and a couple of the greats, Spud Frawley, of course, with the CTE, also Shane Tuck. So,
it's serious
it's
issue.
very, very serious. And I think Paddy Dangerfield is going to cop the wrath of this new sort of wave, unfortunately for him.
They'll be looking to make a statement, I would have thought. And Will and I were discussing it earlier in the show. And it's always funny how one bloke seems to come out of a head clash okay.
Yes.
Isn't that weird?
It is strange. Yeah, I guess
It's where it gets you.
Yeah, I guess it is. And I think the incident in that, Paddy had a time to brace, whereas the other bloke was making the play, going full pelt. And obviously, if you run into something pretty hard, I think it was Newton who came up with the law about inertia and whatnot. So
Potential and kinetic.
yeah, that's
Look, it's a
you
chat
sound
for,
like you're more across it than
a
me.
chat
I'm not
for
sure.
another time. Stick around until we'll come back.
Daisy Thomas with us this morning.
Buddy Franklin looks like he might be about to make a return.
Yeah, well, if he can get into that Swans lineup, of course, after they had a 40-odd point win against the Brisbane Lions, which
Unexpected.
no one saw coming.
No.
So they were pretty impressive. And again, a player of his calibre going back into a young side, the confidence they will have up there has been brilliant. I think that's the beauty of being from a non-footballing state. They sort of just slid right under the radar.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big hype and the big talk was about Joe Danaher in that game up at Brisbane. He kicked 3, I think it was. He did okay. He went the jumper grab. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. The double-fisted
He
jumper
almost
grab.
went the over-the-head soccer sort of style first.
Slid
and then
into
he
the
said,
corner
"I'll stuff
post."
this up," and away he went.
Yeah, that was I didn't. No. What do I know? I didn't like it.
Okay.
I
Well, that's
didn't
fine.
like it.
Mate, you're the people's champ. So if you don't like it, everyone doesn't like it.
Yeah, good call.
Thank you.
Matt Rowell.
Matt Rowell.
Seems to be having a very frustrating start to his AFL career.
Yes, obviously he had the shoulder injury after round 7, I think it was last year. He polled in nearly all of his games in the coaches' votes. Started off like a house on fire, finished the season like one too, burnt to the ground. And then this year, of course, round 1, which has just gone yesterday over in the West, he's come off with a knee injury. Fears, I think, first whether it could have been an ACL. I think we just heard in the news break then that it's not as bad as first thought, which is good, but he'll still spend a considerable amount of time on the sideline. So,
What do you reckon? 6, 8?
well, I don't know. Initially when he came off, I thought it might have been because he's redhead and freckly and it was 33 degrees in Perth yesterday. So I was like, this could be a medical sub.
Yeah. This could just
but
be extreme exhaustion.
Under the geyser of severe sunburn and heat stroke. But no, look, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're saying. It depends. If it's medial, it's probably 6. If it's PCL, it could be longer. They haven't given us a whole lot of details. But fingers crossed for him. He can get back and get a good run at it because I think we all see him. We see him there with the notebook last year. He's just a good look for footy. He's a good look for the kids. He's just a nice, cute, innocent fella, and hopefully he can get a good run at it.
Writing poetry before a game seems strange, but that's up to Matt. The Daisy Thomas Cup Thursday night.
If you don't mind. Jeez, I think to be a sellout, obviously. Pies v Carlton.
Carlton looked good.
Carlton looked okay, yeah. I think the Pies were pretty disappointing if you looked at the 2 games. And one of the teams is going to go 0-2, unless there's a draw, which who would know. But, it's going to be...
Will's heard a little rumour, about Nathan Buckley's coaching future.
Absolutely, I have not. Heard
No,
any
nothing
rumours.
from you to add?
What about you, Daisy? What do you think about Buck's future?
Yeah, well, you told me that Ross Lyon from Triple M would be coaching him after round 6, so...
You did nominate round 6.
Triple M's Ross Lyon. It'd be tough if you're a coach under pressure with a bloke like that in the wings.
Mate, it's always tough if you're a coach under pressure.
If you're a coach, and especially if you're at a big club, and I think I've gone through it with Mick Malthouse at Carlton.
Yeah.
Once they start coming for you, the media, they are relentless.
And they are putting a knife through Collingwood at the moment.
Well, they are. So they need to put a big showing out. And look, as we said, if we go off the form from round 1, it's going to be a cracking game, and you probably have the Blues just in front. I think I'll be tipping the Blues. But a Collingwood Football Club back against the wall, it could be an absolute ripping game this Thursday night at the MCG.
If Carlton beat Collingwood on Thursday night, it's going to be a disaster for Collingwood.
If you don't see...
Who are they playing after that? Let's have a look at Collingwood in the first few rounds.
They've got a toughish draw. I have gone through and had a
They
look.
play the Lions on Easter Thursday in round 3 up at the Gabba.
Oh,
Yep.
geez, you couldn't pencil that one in.
Week after that, they play the Giants at the G.
Well, you'd hope they'd win that.
Yeah,
Jesus,
so-
if they lost that and went 0-4, I reckon Bucks would have to find a new car park.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. So we'll wait and see with bated breath about that one.
Lovely to see you, Daisy.
Good to see you all. Catch you next week.
The Marty Sheargold Show. Triple M.